CDC is the world's only academic institution that offers Bachelor of Science, Master of Science, and Doctor of Philosophy programs in DevCom. Our BS DevCom program follows a generalist curriculum. These are media-based learning systems, reportage, multimedia design, production and management and communication of technical information. On the other hand, our MS and PhD programs provide graduate students a more solid grounding on DevCom theory and practice. Through these curricular offerings, we train our students to apply communication theories, principles, and techniques, enabling them to become DevCom champions of planned social change. As a college of a national research university, we spearhead research efforts in DevCom in line with the university's growth areas, niches, and transdisciplinary programs. Our research and extension agenda focuses on current issues that matter. We communicate the knowledge we have generated through publications, foremost of which is the Philippine Journal of Development Communication. As a testament to the college's quality of research, our staff and students regularly present their papers in various national and international conferences. These activities play a crucial role in building up knowledge on the science, theory, and practice of DevCom. CDC balances scholarly work and practice by extending its expertise through partnerships with various stakeholders. The college is home to Radyo DZLB, which airs development-oriented programs to a large part of Calabarzon. Meanwhile, CDC regularly publishes the Los Baños Times, a community newspaper that serves Los Baños and nearby communities. We have also ventured into TV production with Dito sa Laguna, a discussion program aired on the community cable Vision Corporation. Through the Adopt a School program, CDC helps improve the teaching and learning process in selected public elementary schools. Aside from these in-house programs, our experience of more than 50 years has enabled us to render numerous public service initiatives. All in all, our extension activities are geared toward providing DevCom services to the community through various communication approaches and media. The college continues to upgrade its facilities to provide students with the intensive training on the interface of various communication media. More notably, we have upgraded some of our classrooms into multimedia laboratories. Through these facilities, our students are able to build a competent portfolio of DevCom outputs, which they prepare in coordination with partner agencies and communities. Meanwhile, our student organizations hold relevant DevCom-oriented activities for the college, university, and select communities. With the rigorous training we provide our students, it is no surprise that many of our alumni have made significant contributions in their respective fields. As a matter of fact, the Commission on Higher Education has recognized us 3 times as a center of excellence for our distinctive efforts in DevCom instruction, research, and extension. Moreover, our BS DevCom program passed the ASEAN University Network Quality Assurance Accreditation. This means the program adheres to international standards and is at par with similar programs offered by other leading ASEAN universities. Such recognition all the more fuels our pursuit for distinctive excellence as we continue to study and practice development communication. Molding young minds, creating new knowledge, sharing our expertise. Welcome to the College of Development Communication.
Hello everyone! Kumusta po kayong lahat? Alam ko na we are about 35 here inside Zoom at syempre live nyo rin po itong napapanood sa YouTube. Kumusta po ang ating mga participants? Pwede ko bang makita muna silang lahat? Can you turn on your cam? At magpakita naman tayo muna sa isa't isa at kung nasaan tayo ngayon. I am happy to see a lot of DevCom professors inside the Zoom room, and also we have our students, of course, our speakers are also here with us this afternoon. Kumusta kayo? Okay ba? Stable ba yung internet? Kasi I heard may problema sa internet sa UP Los Baños, no? Alright, okay. So, live na live po ako mula dito sa aming tahanan sa San Pablo City, Laguna. My name is Mark Lester Chico from the Department of Development Broadcasting and Telecommunication ng atin pong kolehiyo, the College of Development Communication sa UP Los Baños. And I will be your host and moderator for this afternoon as we go on the ground. No, we will be talking about the DevCom journey, no, tales of DevCom journeys in a day. And we are very lucky because today we will have a great panel of speakers lined up for you. And of course, we would like everybody to be greeted by our dear Dean, who is live in her office at the College of DevCom. To welcome us all, here is the Dean of the College of DevCom, Dr. Maria Stella Citerol. Ma'am Thea, kumusta po?
Hello! Hello everyone! It is still a cloudy afternoon here in Los Baños, but despite the gray weather, I would like to greet all of you a cheerful EQ smile, especially to our guest speakers, our students, and other participants. Welcome to our webinar on the ground, Tales of DevCom Journeys in a Day. This webinar is organized by Dr. Rodora Ramonet Costudio, who handled DevCom 10 and DevCom 205 classes last second semester 2019-2020. She is being assisted by Assistant Professor Mark Lester Chico and Charmaine May Arcaina, who is our new University Extension Specialist at the Department of Science Communication. This webinar is being conducted as part of the bridging program of the college for DevCom 10 and DevCom 205. As Chico already mentioned earlier, this is one of your lucky days because our resource persons are distinguished and respected former deans of the college and a special alumna who is connected with ERI. They will share their experiences as development communicators as well as their insights on the roles of a development communicator. I am confident that you will learn a lot from them, especially on what makes a good development communicator. More importantly, you will be inspired and motivated by their true-to-life experiences And hopefully, this will inspire you to become the best development communicators in the next 3 or 4 years. Huwag na sanang tatagal pa doon. So may this webinar open your world to the practice of development communication. Listen, learn, and actively participate in the open forum. This is your chance to share your own views and to clarify issues and concerns on becoming a development communicator. Magandang hapon po lahat, and magsimula na po tayo sa ating webinar for this afternoon. Thank you, Chico.
Thank you very much, Dean Thea. Marami pong salamat sa pagsama niyo sa amin ngayong hapon na ito. Nais ko muna ulit kumustahin ang ating mga participants through the chat box. Sabihin niyo naman po sa amin kung nasaan kayong lugar ngayong hapon na ito. So i-key in niyo lang yan sa ating chat box sa Zoom, at yung mga nasa YouTube, pwede niyo rin pong i-type kung nasaan kayo ngayon. We have one from Cavite, Taytay, LB, syempre, di ba? Quezon City, Santa Rosa, Los Baños. Sino kaya ang pinakamalayo? Uy, taga San Pablo. Sino ang taga San Pablo? Syempre, magkasama lang tayo pala dito sa city natin. Alright, so far nasa Calabarzon yung ating mga participants. Okay. Lipa, Batangas. Alright, mga taga Batangas nandito, kasama rin natin. At syempre, yung iba nasa opisina, napakasipag naman, grabe naman, napakasipag, nasa what do you call this, nasa opisina, nagtatrabaho pa rin. Okay, so I can see that a lot of you are in Region 4 and some others are, mukhang Region 4 lang, ano? Oo. Yan, okay. At syempre ngayon, patuloy pa rin po na may sumasama sa atin. Okay, yung iba nahihiyang magsabi kung nasaan sila. But anyway, again, so this is On the Ground, Tales of DevCom Journeys in a Day. At syempre magtatanong kayo, no, bakit nga ba meron tayong ganitong webinar? As you know, last semester, because of the declaration of the enhanced community quarantine in Luzon, classes in UP Los Baños as well as in other SUCs, other educational institutions have been halted. So therefore, faculty members were not able to fully discuss the topics that should have been covered during the semester. So parang naputol yung SEM natin, no? In UP, bridge programs were recommended, no, to be able to help us cope with that gap and to be able to still continue learning about the courses that we took. So this webinar is in fact part of the bridge programs, particularly for 2 subjects. Number 1 is DevCom 10. So kaway-kaway, yung mga nagde-DevCom 10, that's Introduction to Development Communication. And the other one is DevCom 205, or Communication and Development. So I think this course naman is being taken by our master students. No? So in general, this webinar aims to provide new development communication students with insights on the roles and competencies of development communicators and on the experiences of development communication practitioners in the field. So we're very lucky because we will all be listening to stories, to narratives and experiences of 3 women whom I will introduce to you one at a time in a while. Moreover, this webinar hopes to inspire and motivate students to pursue the program and, as the Dean mentioned, finish it on time and eventually go into DevCom practice. So talagang jam-packed ang ating, kumbaga ang ating episode ngayong hapon na ito. Alright. If you are ready, hindi daw kita yung video ko. Oo nga, bakit? Ayan, nakikita niyo na ako. Alright, parang gusto ko lang pakita sa inyo na ang ganda ng picture ko doon. Alright, but anyway, allow me now to introduce, si Ma'am Tere tumatawa na agad. Na-miss mo ako no? Alright, eto na, ipakikilala ko na po ang ating first speaker. At syempre, na-miss natin siya. She is our former dean, At ngayong hapon, we are very lucky kasi pinaunlakan niya po tayo. Our first speaker is a retired CDC professor of science communication and currently an adjunct faculty member at the College of Development Communication. As I have mentioned, she served as dean of the college from 2012 to 2018. And during her term, she led the accreditation of the college to the ASEAN University Network and the renewal of its CHED, Center of Excellence in Development Communication. She also was awarded as one of the CDC's distinguished alumni. All right. Live mula sa kanyang mansyon dyan sa Los Baños, Laguna. Please welcome our immediate past dean, Dr. Maria Teresa H. Velasco. Nag-unmute lang si ma'am sa tulong ni Nikki. All right. Ma'am Tere, pasok.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am resurrecting myself from hibernation because I have been retired since January of this year. But I was really happy to accept the invitation from Duday because I truly believe in the discipline of development communication, having practiced it for the past 45 years. Oh, wag naman kayo masindak. 65 pa lang naman ako. And I hope I can still do more for DevCom. I have titled my presentation The 21st Century Development Communicator. And I am dividing my presentation into 3 parts. First, I will discuss the discipline of DevCom as you probably have been exposed to already by your DevCom 10 faculty. And then I will work on the DevCom curriculum, what we have done so far over the years. But don't worry, this is just going to be a very quick one. I will not discuss every text in every cell of the PowerPoint presentation. So relax lang kayo dyan. And then, who is the DevCom practitioner of the 21st century? Sorry ha, ang kiniklik ko yung katabi kong laptop, hindi ko pala nakiklik itong... There is the outline of my presentation. By the way, let me check. Is it okay? Can you see it?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay, ayun, may sumagot naman. Okay, so as you very well know, this one is from Lin J. Manyoso in 2006. And as I said earlier, I will not discuss each cell. Baka tulugan ninyo ako, no? But what I would like to emphasize here is that Los Baños, DevCom style Los Baños, was one of the very first in the discipline of using communication for development, started in the 1950s. As an aside, Lin J. Manyoso is a great fan of Dr. Nora Quebral. I think he has been inspired by the work of Dr. Quebral for a long, long time. And please look up his books in the library. Well, this is more or less, these are the beginnings. There have been several schools of thought on the use of communication for development, and the Los Baños School is one of those. It was started way back in the 1950s with a group of visionaries led by Dr. Nora Quebral, Dr. Juan Jamias, whom we consider as the father of science communication, Dr. Thomas Flores, who spent most of his retirement years in the US, Dr. Ellie D. Gomez, shall we call her the mother of DCLB? I don't know if that is accurate. Dean Tirol can attest to that. And many others who helped them develop the discipline of development communication. The Los Baños School, of course, started with the Office of Extension and Publications under the College of Agriculture. This was way back in 1954, a year older than I am, with Sandiwa, which was the community newspaper, and one of the key figures here was Dr. Madeline Suva, and of course, Radio DZLB, which is now being resurrected. I will just walk you through several photos of what was then known as the Cow College. Kasi kita nyo naman, ano, puro mga cow. Kasi ka College of Agriculture pa lang at saka College of Forestry ang nasa campus noon. Wala pa yung mga VetMed, wala pa yung DevCom, yung Human Eco. Ito si Dr. Nora Quebral ito. nakikipag-usap sa farmer. But let me just emphasize that the main point of the existence of the Office of Extension and Publications then was to make the research results of those studies conducted in the College of Agriculture and College of Forestry known to the rightful beneficiaries, who were the farmers, the foresters, the fishermen living around Los Baños and surrounding areas, which is still pretty much the philosophy that we adhere to nowadays. Ayan, si Dr. Quebral pa rin yan. Okay, this is one of the points that Dr. Quebral raised, with which I fully agree. Development communication is a confluence of two dynamic processes: development and communication. And development could be regarded as the weightier one, siya daw yung mas mabigat, it being the progressive improvement of the quality of life that needs to happen. Because after all, why are we using communication in our trade? It is to push forward the development of people and eventually of the nation. But communication is the vehicle that carries development onward and, let me add, forward. So that is one thing that we should all adhere to. DevCom teaching has responded to the challenges of the times through various, shall we say, institution of degree programs and revisions in these degree programs. The Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, major in agricultural communication, was the very first one offered, and that was in the 60s. The Master of Science in Agricultural Communication was instituted in 1965, and the BSDC that we know of today was instituted in 1974. PhD, sorry, I cannot remember anymore, no, but you will find the details in many of the writings on the curriculum of development communication. One of them is the one authored by Dr. Cabral, and one of the co-authors is Professor Duday Custodio. Again, I forgot the title, but you can ask your professor, Duday Custodio. Okay, what is the uniqueness of the BSDC curriculum? To this, I can safely answer that I was able professionally to experience that difference. I often mentioned in my speeches when I was dean that I wasn't really a DevCom major. I graduated from the then Institute of Mass Communication in UP Diliman. It later became College of Mass Communication, and my major was journalism. But then, to tell you frankly, when I entered college, I just wanted to get away from mathematics courses. So I chose those which had few mathematics courses. And up until my sophomore year, I was not sure what I wanted to major in. Nung araw, meron pang AB General. I think wala na ngayon noon, ano. Until my efforts led me to the Institute of Mass Communication. So I was doing a lot of publications work when I graduated. But then when I transferred to UPLB, that was where I learned of the difference between mass communication and development communication. Let's say it was love that brought me here because I married an agriculturist, and it was love for the discipline that really kept me at the College of Development Communication. So what is this uniqueness I am talking about that I was not able to experience during my college years? Of course, for all UP students, the general education is a must because that is what makes us great servants of this nation. There were, of course, foundation courses. The social science electives, as Dr. Nora Quebral always emphasizes, are the ones that make us aware of where we are practicing as development communicators, our social environment. And of course, the very basic difference is the technical courses. Back then in mass communication, I just took language courses, mostly other social science courses and electives, but I did not have technical courses, which is your great strength now because of the content that you are able to put into your DevCom practice. So please do not really be mad about having many technical courses. Remember, that is where your strength lies. And so over the years, we have developed major fields of specialization. This was the old curriculum: development journalism, community broadcasting, educational communication, and science communication. But as time went on and as the review of the uh, program, reviews actually, there were many that were conducted over the years. As the reviews were unfolding, we noticed that most of these major fields of specialization were media-based: journalism, print-based, broadcast, of course. And SciComm was the one that was discipline-rooted. And so that led to another series of revisions, considering now also the outcomes-based education, the importance of having foundational knowledge, literacies, and competencies. I will not read any more what they are because I will be discussing most of this as we go along. As I said earlier, this is going to be shared with you, so there shouldn't be any problem with that. Kayo na yung magbasa para hindi ako sumobra sa oras, ano? Okay, now, based on the latest revision, the BS in Development Communication is developing competencies in students or among students in 4 domains: reportage, media-based learning systems, multimedia design, production and management and communication of scientific and technical information. Yung curriculum ninyo ngayon, ito ang ine-emphasize so that you will become better practitioners of the field of development communication. I will not go anymore into the details of the courses and of how we were able to push through with this, but let me just share with you that it was really blood, sweat, and tears. Ay kahirap pong mag-revise ng curriculum at magpasa ng mga courses sa University Council. Of course, there is still an ongoing review as you take these courses. Your faculty and staff are trying to monitor the relevance of the things that you are learning. So this is not the end line. This is continuous evaluation for the betterment of the BS in Development Communication program. Just to share with you, especially with the masteral students, the competencies that the latest revision has come up with. We would like our MS in DevCom students to be able, aside from the usual production, research, we would like our MS students to be able to concentrate on education and training in development communication. Okay. And of course, the application part. The PhD in development communication, by the way, leans towards theory formulation in development communication, as well as formulation of development communication policies for development programs. Doon naman po papunta yung ating PhD. Pataas ng pataas kasi. So from the basic to the applied and to the theory and policy formulation part. Okay, as has been mentioned earlier in the PowerPoint presentation, not really, the videos that you've seen before we started, that we have been recognized thrice actually as a Center of Excellence in Development Communication by the Commission on Higher Education. which means that our curriculum is at par. And in fact, we are the models for all of the other, we are the model for all of the other development communication schools in the country. Of course, we learn from them, but being a center of excellence means that we are setting the standards and we are the trailblazers in the field of development communication. So that's a tall order for both faculty and students of development communication. So we hope that we will still be recognized as such in the near future. Now, as I was thinking about this presentation, I thought about the challenges in communication during the new normal. Who would have thought that we will be in this state of affairs? Sino bang mag-aakala na lahat tayo ay nahihirapang lumabas, lahat tayo ay nakamask? Iba na nga yung new normal natin. Ako nga parang lumalabas lang ako isang beses isang buwan, to tell you the truth, because I'm a senior citizen and many doors are not open to senior citizens because of the transmission of the virus. So, what are these challenges that the communicator usually faces during an event? For lack of a better word, I don't want to call it pandemic alone, but such events that may occur unexpectedly. One is the public's reaction to such an event. Usually, there are varying perspectives that are surfaced. Iba-iba yung pananaw natin. The fear of the unknown. Takot na takot tayo, syempre. So, lahat ng mabasa natin, pinaniniwalaan natin. Lahat ng binibili natin sa labas, ibinibilad natin. And there are multiple and often conflicting messages. Now, how should development communicators deal with the public's reaction to such an event as the pandemic? Parang na-blindside tayo lahat dito nabigla tayo lahat, tapos nagko-cope tayo ngayon. People are so hungry for sources of information, and most of the time we don't know anymore what is right and what is wrong. Another challenge is policymaker support of the event or the lack of that support. Public opinion and politics are always very difficult to deal with. Alam naman ninyo yan siguro. Paano ang gagawin natin kung nagkakagulo na? Ano ang role ng development communicator? And then there are lobbying from influential groups. Natatandaan nyo siguro nung panahon ng bakuna ng dengue, laging nagkakagulo sa media, laging nagkakagulo ang mga tao. Hindi natin alam kung sinong paniniwalaan natin. Pag napanood mo sa TV si Attorney Persida Acosta, nanginginig ka na sa takot. Pag narinig mo naman ng DOH, lahat okay lang. So maraming mga grupo na hindi natin alam kung where they are coming from. Sometimes they are influenced by economics. Maraming mga dapat i-consider na mga factors. Another thing is the meager budget for support services, including communication. Communication has often been taken as just a tool for producing leaflets, radio broadcasts, TV ads, but as I am sure your teachers, your professors have shared with you, communication is so much more than that. The heart of communication is the people themselves. This is very critical as a challenge, the media's handling of the event. You're familiar with the agenda setting function of the mass media. The selection, the omission, the framing of stories, the angle from which report is being given. So whatever the media say clearly influences what people will believe or what people will think of. And that's a very difficult thing to handle. Another is the lack of hard facts in reportage. Sure, there are materials from the internet. Surely you can interview people. But how easy or how difficult is it for policymakers to grant you the time of day? Diba, laging busy, laging mahirap, yun namang nakikita mo sa internet, hindi mo masiguro. So, what are the hard facts that you will include in your reporting? The next, which again is very difficult to grapple with, is selectivity and sensationalism. As I was saying earlier, the angle from which certain event is reported. And most often than not, this results in sensationalism, which later on results in chaos and panic. Now, what do I mean by the shotgun versus the rifle approach? You're familiar with the shotgun? Hindi ba pag pinutok mo yung shotgun, bam 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 bam, ang daming tatamaan. Pag pinutok mo naman yung rifle, yon ay targeted. So, how do we now as communicators practice our trade so that we will be able to convey the messages that are particularly right for specific groups of people? That's what I mean by the shotgun versus the rifle approach. And the biggest challenge, of course, is how to communicate relevant details in such a way that the various stakeholder groups can properly manage the benefits vis-a-vis the risks involved in any new event towards informed decision making. I will share with you more about this as I discuss the qualities, the desirable qualities of the 21st century development communicator. So, ang dami nating dapat tingnan sa pag-practice natin ng ating trade. Hindi tayo basta nagsusulat, hindi tayo basta nagsushoot. Iniisip natin lahat kung ano ang papasok doon sa sinulat natin, anong anggulo yung ating gagamitin so that our readers, viewers, listeners will be able to get the most out of our reportage so that they themselves can make their own decisions based on the facts that we are sharing with them. The sense of responsibility is huge. And that is one thing that we should all be aware of all of the time. Now, what needs to be done continuously, given those different challenges that I have put forward? Of course, those are only some of the many challenges. And during my years of practice, these are the things that I believe should be given more light by several groups of people. The policymakers, for instance, need to lobby for bigger S&T budget. I am really biased towards science and technology communication, science communication, because that is what differentiates us from other fields of communication. We are dealing with facts that are in turn products of science and the scientific process. So to go to the very root of it all, policymakers should lobby for bigger S&T budget. Also, we need policymakers to sponsor public fora. Of course, this is easier said than done, but we hope that this can really become realities. In this day and age of ICTs, with our Zoom and other means by which we can communicate with large numbers of people and in an interactive way at that, then public fora can really be a reality. At the local level and from our experiences in dealing with local government units and with problems of communities, crafting local ordinances for managing the event, the disaster, the pandemic, whatever, is very important. We always go by the saying, ano nga yun? An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Tama ba yung sinabi ko? Basta ganun na nga. And then, of course, we need to develop champions. Who are the champions? And these are the people who will be our spokespersons, who will be the opinion leaders, the gatekeepers. They are people whom other people in the community look up to because they live out what they believe in. Isinasabuhay nila yung mga prinsipyo na gusto nilang maka-impluwensya sa ibang tao. Okay, so that's for policymakers. The public in general. What's to prevent us from actively seeking information that will reduce dissonance? We should be proactive ourselves and not just wait for information to land on our laps. So tayo mismo, we need to seek information to reduce, to lessen the gap between what we know and what we should do, or what we don't know and what we know, to lessen the anxiety level among ourselves. We should also engage in public debates, and we should keep an open mind toward informed decision making. If you will notice, I have often emphasized informed decision making. Susunod ba tayo na kailangan lahat naka face shield ngayong mga panahong ito? Bakit? Anong dahilan? Why are our policymakers recommending it? We should really be informed of or we should know the reason why we are deciding to do something. Yun po yung importante. Alam natin kung bakit. Okay. Among communicators, okay. One, practice strategic communication. This is going to be emphasized in your later courses. Strategic communication versus all other labels for communication. Mahaba po ito, but what I want to dwell on is that you know what to say to specific groups of people. Remember the rifle approach versus the shotgun approach. Next, we should actively partner with public and private organizations. The government cannot do it alone. The Department of Science and Technology, for instance, cannot really share with the people all of what they have discovered or developed. Communicators play a very important role in this respect. We should engage more in citizen journalism. I believe that our Department of Development Journalism is very keen on this. Ewan ko lang ngayong wala ng ABS-CBN. May GMA pa naman yata, no? Another is to develop more knowledge products. What do we mean by knowledge products? And this is the definition this is taken from the guru of knowledge, one of the gurus of knowledge management, Dr. Serafin Talisayon. He says that knowledge products are or should be looked at in terms of the difference between information transfer and knowledge translation. What do we mean by information transfer? When you surf the internet, you gain a lot of information, you download them, and you share them, di ba, pasa ka ng pasa, you share them with those in your contact list. But is there anything that has been added to what you shared? That's information transfer. Whereas knowledge translation is converting less actionable to more actionable information. So meron ka nang ginagawa doon sa nakuha mo upang pakinabangan ng iba. For example, converting research article, data from a research article on COVID-19 mode of transmission to practice guidelines. So you process already the information that you gathered. Of course, it's not just through your own thinking, but you have to interview professionals, you have to interview experts, you have to pre-test so that whatever you will share later through a knowledge product is going to be accurate and useful to people's informed decision making. So please remember that, no? Your knowledge products should be products also of your knowledge translation. Now, we are going into the last part. Who is the development communication practitioner of the 21st century? Please take note of what Dr. Nora Cabral said in 2012. There is no one profession whose members are known as development communicators. Hindi po tayo miyembro ng Professional Regulation Commission. Kaya hindi talaga recognized yung profession as a professional endeavor. Kaya nga kung minsan nagagalit sa akin yung mga faculty kasi at saka mga estudyante, pag binibring up ko nun yung possibility ng board exam, o wag kayong kabahan, ako lang yun. Hindi ko alam how they will take it. No? But that's one way of professionalizing the discipline. Any communication practitioner who helps disadvantaged people better their lives so that they can realize their potential is a development communicator. So, what are these qualities that I am talking about? One, a development communicator of the 21st century is someone who understands the process of development, the process of communication, the process of science, and the environment in which these processes interact. That's why we have technical courses for the content. That's why you have science courses in your curriculum for the methods. That's why you have social science courses so that you will understand the milieu, the social milieu in which events are unfolding. So it's very critical that you understand these processes and the way they interact in your discipline. Number two, a development communication practitioner is not only knowledgeable in communication skills and techniques, but is also proficient in the subject matter to be communicated. Paboritong kwento ko noon na when I came over to Los Baños, I was given editing jobs. And I was asking my husband, he is an agriculturist, what cation means. Ay, pinagtawanan niya ako talaga. Yung pala ay cation. So, malay ko ba? Nakalimutan ko na yung chemistry ko. But, you learn along the way. So, my husband has really been a great help in my understanding, in my having a grasp of agriculture and related sciences. That's why I keep on emphasizing that you should be grateful for your technical courses. Importante yan. Para kahit saan kayo ibato, may alam kayo. Next, a development communication practitioner has commendable media and information literacy skills to wade through the mountain of information towards, in turn, helping people make informed decisions. This is the information age. Ang dami-daming information at your fingertips. Which of them is true, is worth passing along, is worth processing so that you will be able to come up with good knowledge products. Nowadays, you are all very skilled in the use of the media. Even the social media should be at the means towards making people, towards having people make informed decisions. Hindi lang basta kapopost ng picture, kailangan din naman magkakaroon tayo ng importanteng ma-share natin sa madlang people. Okay. That's why science communication is also really very, very critical. Nga pala, I hope that our students are using the drones that we procured for them, because we want your training to be at par with the training of other communication students in the various schools in the country. So meron po tayong, if I'm not mistaken, we have 4 drones. in the college. Four, a development communication practitioner practices critical thinking. This is in your OBE, problem solving, and decision-making skills applied in community engagement, among other tasks. This is one of the joys of my being a development communicator in the past decades. I have traveled a lot, met many people in the various communities. One of the most memorable was our interaction with the Mangyans in Oriental Mindoro. We used to travel to Occidental Mindoro. We used to travel to Abra de Ilog so that we could help um, Panlipi, which is a legal team, to reduce discrimination against the Mangyans. We learned a lot from those. We also learned a lot from our engagements with the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, because we were able to understand the problems of malnutrition and lack of early childhood communication, early childhood development in Mindanao. One of the things that I cannot forget is when they told me that because we engaged those who were in the field, no, our colleagues from the University of Southern Mindanao in Cotabato. One of the things that struck me was they said that they couldn't really focus on having daycare centers in the communities in Mindanao. Sabi nila, eh mahirap po talaga na magkaroon ng mga daycare centers at saka mga supervised neighborhood place. Kasi pag wala kang pag wala kang daycare center, at least dapat may supervised neighborhood play so that the children will be gathered and will be learning together and they will receive proper nutrition. Sabi nila, ang unang-unang problema hindi lack of communication, hindi po yung walang makain o ano, kundi yung tinatawag po nilang rido. Yung rido ay yung clan wars. Ang nangyayari kasi ay naggagantihan sila. So they were into revenge against various clans. And so people had to always up and go every time there was fighting. Takbo sila ng takbo. So paano ka nga namang mag-establish ng daycare center kung hindi ka makapagpatayo ng building, hindi ka makapagpatayo ng poso kasi in a moment's notice kailangan tumakbo ka. So all of those things that led us towards developing materials that would enhance early childhood care and development in those very trying circumstances and situations. Number 5, a development communicator should possess collaboration and networking skills to bring together stakeholder groups engaged in a development issue. Remember I said earlier that the government cannot do it alone. The government needs the help of the private sector. Of course, we have to network and tap these various agencies to be able to help one another. Sa trabaho po namin noon sa Masbate, para din sa malnutrition at early childhood care and development, katulong namin ng iba't ibang mga private organizations and government organizations. Also, with our engagements with UNICEF and the Department of Health, particularly ang Department of Health. Napakarami pong istorya. If there will be enough time later on, I will be most willing to share with you our sometimes hilarious, sometimes dramatic, but mostly very rewarding learning experiences with communities. Then the last one, a development communication practitioner should have a sense of commitment, the acceptance of individual responsibility for advancing human development. I think without a sense of responsibility, we will not be able to accomplish our job well. It is one thing to share, to forward what you received from your social media networks, and another thing to make sure that this is correct, this will be useful, and that this can be used by the recipient as a tool towards informed decision making. That ends my presentation. Again, let me emphasize what Dr. Cabral said. Any communication practitioner who helps disadvantaged people better their lives so that they can realize their potential is a development communicator. But also, I would like to emphasize the importance of bearing in mind the qualities that I have proposed to you this afternoon. So I hope you learned something from that. Let me hear from you during the forum. Thank you and goodbye for now.
Thank you very much to Dr. Maria Teresa H. Velasco for walking us through the different schools of thoughts of DevCom, and also for letting us see, the changes in the curriculum of DevCom, which is connected, if not intertwined, with the practice, and how the practice also, what do you call this, influenced the changes that we had in our curriculum. Of course, she also mentioned about a lot of challenges that we are facing as communicators, and laid down some foundations of how we can help address and face these challenges. It's 3:16 in the afternoon. Kasama pa rin po namin kayo dito sa On the Ground, Tales of DevCom Journeys in a Day. We will now move forward to our second speaker, and let me introduce her to you. She is also a retired professor of development communication and the first dean of our college. She served dean from 1998 until 2006. And upon leaving CDC, she joined CIRCA as the manager of its training department. And I'm very lucky to have worked with her for the UPLB Strategic Review. And then she also worked as program head of knowledge management. She currently serves as a consultant at CIRCA. Our speaker was also awarded one of CDC's distinguished alumni. And if you will be taking your DevCom 40, kasi yung mga DevCom 10, no? And for those who have taken DevCom 40, for sure you know her book. It's called Educational Communication for Development. It's one of our textbooks in DevCom 40. She is the author of that book. So let me now present to you our second speaker, Dr. Maria Celeste H. Cadiz. Ma'am Cel.
Thank you so much, Chico. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Char, the presentation is with you. Good afternoon to everyone. Let me do my presentation. Wait, one moment. Yes. Let me do my presentation from a practitioner point of view in storytelling fashion. I gave it a very general title, the DevCom Reflections, because it is seldom that I talk about DevCom or deal with DevCom content nowadays. I am Maria Celeste Habito Cadiz of UPLB class 1978 with a Bachelor of Science in Development Communication, cum laude, perhaps the first BSDC cum laude graduate of UPLB. Not really a stellar academic achiever then, sagad lang yung cum laude, because I confess I did digress to enjoy my earlier undergraduate years before I shifted from BSA to BSDC in my junior year. I am proud and grateful to have received formal training from what is now the UPLB College of Development Communication. Take note, I always say UPLB first, DevCom second, because I believe we should not be too parochial in DevCom and remember first that we are part of and proud to belong to this great institution with its roots in agriculture and forestry sciences. From UPLB, I believe the undergraduate and MS DevCom grounding I got are really tops and prepared me well for my PhD by research in Australia and then my professional endeavors afterwards. I was happy to do my job quietly in my little corner as a DevCom faculty member after my PhD in 1993 with Ma'am Suba as roommate. Little did I expect, nor aspire 7 years later to be blessed with the honor of eventually becoming dean when we became a college of DevCom in December 1999. For 7 years, from my first appointment in April 2000 until my successor, Dean Ofi Torres, was appointed in April 2006. Dr. Duday Custodio kindly provided me some guide questions that serve as my talking points this afternoon. The third bullet, DevCom experiences, will be weaved in the storytelling of the first two bullets. My story is about my career after the CDC deanship. April 2006, after I stepped down from the deanship, the CIRCA director then invited me to his office, and there with his deputy director asked me to consider serving as training manager at CIRCA. CIRCA stands for Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture. So this is where my story starts. Life outside the comfort zone of my DevCom home, where everything DevCom is right, is cool, and where I can claim mastery of my selected DevCom niche or niches. In my CIRCA journey, I drew on competence gained in my 26 years of immersion in DevCom as a UPLB faculty member. My educational communication background, having taught the core EdCom course for many years before PhD studies, armed me to take lead in developing and implementing training offerings of CIRCA. But really now, CIRCA did not hire me for my DevCom or EdCom background. I think they hired me for my seniority and their confidence that I, a former dean, could deal with equally senior experts in leveraging the center's programs for Southeast Asia, specifically its short-term training program. I was not much of an EdCom person anymore, as much as a participatory DevCom advocate at that time, which I found applicable even at UPLB DevCom as a regional program manager then in program or project management on participatory DevCom or PDC. I don't really see PDC as a particular set of skills, but more of what we now consider as soft or essential skills. I usually qualify this as an outlook or perspective on how you implement a project, a participatory mindset that practiced what Brazilian author Paulo Freire, my idol, in his Pedagogy of the Oppressed, taught as love, humility, openness, trust, and critical thinking. Napaisip ako kanina umaga, hindi ba yun din ang turo ni Jesus Christ? I tried my best to adhere to these values as a manager of my then small department at CIRCA. I also hope my UPLB CDC colleagues would have judged me as having similarly adhered to these as their dean in 2000 to 2006. The important skill here is listening. In Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People that I taught in DevCom 70 to empower our BSD would-be DevCom professionals. It is habit number 5, if you remember. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. The third competency, organizing, can be shallowly interpreted and translated into events organizing. If I understood my job at Circa as simply events organizing, I would not have lasted that long with the center. But then when I left UPLB CDC, having learned with and from my graduate students in DevCom 210, Advanced Communication Theory, and DevCom 393, Qualitative Approaches to Development Communication, and from now UPOU Vice Chancellor Jean Saludades, and her then newfound reference for her PhD dissertation, an author named James Taylor, not the one who sang You've Got a Friend. Dr. Saludades then was a key resource person and team teacher in these courses. I became convinced that communication is constitutive. This was the essence of communication, not as a set of skills like editing, speaking with the right voice modulation, etc., but a process by which people organize. For instance, under the new label of my eventual work at Circa, knowledge management, or in development. Circa then was getting recognized as a knowledge convener, and it takes a certain acumen in engaging experts and stakeholders to discuss relevant issues of the day and create actionable knowledge or solutions to advance agricultural and rural development, or ARD, in Southeast Asia. This also involves some amount of partnership leveraging, including donning a thick face to get them to counterpart some funds or their precious time and expertise for the sake of advancing ARD and ARD knowledge in ASEAN. The Circa Directorate and the executives or heads of programs all do this kind of organizing and leveraging kind of work. This is also where your grasp of the technical subject matter or the context you are working in is important. That Dr. Tere Velasco, Dean Tere, has emphasized. The job required my understanding of agriculture and rural development, and for me to brush up on the issues of the day. If I were to organize relevant knowledge and learning events that make a contribution to ARD in Southeast Asia. I also needed to have the skill to conceptualize in order to participate in strategy development. My specific contribution being a KM framework for Circa's 9th and 10th five-year plans, during which I led a larger KM department. At the bottom, the two communication skills I listed here as important competencies also mattered. Under the KM department, I supervised a unit that developed and packaged knowledge materials turned out by Circa's programs, mostly scholarly or high level for policymakers, researchers, and scholars. We outsourced, and I'm saying it past tense, but Circa continues to outsource a lot of copy editing, graphics design, layout for publications, and my expertise of sizing up if a person is fit for this kind of DevCom and SciCom work was important. I wasn't able to put that in as an important competence in these slides. Talent scouting or management for DevCom professionals. You don't just pick from industry any copywriter or copy editor and expect him or her to do a good Circa copy editing job. This is where their comfort and familiarity with technical subject matter is important. To ensure high quality of our knowledge products, they went through my clearance for printing or uploading on our website, editing-wise, layout, and graphics-wise. You know, I was sometimes surprised, to put it mildly, if the unit head below me did not know the principles I invoked, which I learned in my undergraduate years, for instance, in my DevJourn internship under Ma'am Suva, or taught in the EdCom textbook comprising my DevCom 40 lectures. Next slide. Wait, there's more in this next slide. As one of CIRCA's program heads, I also served in screening committees for CIRCA grants to award seed fund for research or training projects, dissertation or research scholarships, professorial chair awards, what have you. And this is where my graduate advising, meaning my understanding of science and the research process, played an important role, on top of my familiarity with technical subject matter, and dressed with patience to pour through technical manuscripts. We may now move faster on the other competencies and roles where they were relevant. Pasensya na kayo, ang ingay ng computer ko, ang daming pumapasok. No? But the other competencies, communication research for guiding my department in evaluating their proposals and outputs, or consultants' outputs for communication and KM monitoring and evaluation. My background in other social sciences, specifically in development concepts, along with technical background for strategy development. Human behavior science as part of EdCom for developing learning systems. ICT applications for assessing and proposing new communication and KM techniques, for instance, in developing online learning courses. Most important of all are the soft or essential skills I mentioned earlier under my participatory DevCom orientation. Add to that respect for authority. So what are the challenges and opportunities? I could only think of three right now. Maybe some will crop up later. First is how others perceive DevCom professionals. Either they look at us, that their expectations may be too high, or maybe they are too low, or they don't know any better about our potential contribution. If their expectations are too high, this presents an opportunity to rise to this and learn and acquire new competencies. If their expectations are too low, you will need to wait for and find the right opportunity to show them what you are really worth. For instance, others see emceeing as a competency that DevCom professionals possess, which at UPLB DevCom, I remember we just often relegated this to junior faculty members. Well, I took on this frontline role as an honor, remembering how the MCs I admired, Ma'am Mel's Moscoso being one of them, did it. When I was starting out as a junior faculty at DevCom, still a department under UPLB College of Agriculture then, an office mate once advised me not to be too eager to volunteer what I know, lest they dump all the assignments they could think of on my lap. So as a new department manager at CIRCA then, I took my time to listen and understand the dynamics, the culture, how things are done. One eager unit head with a DevCom degree, her position was a level below the manager in another department, volunteered her DevCom skills to write a strategic plan manuscript for the center. When she submitted her drafts, the director was dismayed and simply gave the task to me. That was a real challenge, but a welcome one. And I was happy my drafts seemed to have been accepted without much revision. So that's one instance where the communicator, if you're a good writer, you can influence the direction of your institute if you're the writer. But of course, you also try to learn where it wants to go. from the minds of the leaders. The second challenge is finding qualified DevCom professionals. It is not easy. The qualified ones, especially at the middle level or even the senior level, are usually already employed and cannot be easily enticed to work with us. So sometimes we end up hiring non-DevCom graduates for work where I tend to prefer DevCom graduates. Why do I prefer DevCom graduates as my staff? Well, it is because I don't have to teach them much. We could more or less understand each other in terms of what we're trying to achieve. The opportunity in the case of the non-DevCom coworker is for me as supervisor to recognize the specific expertise they bring to the job, such as their network in a technical area, and patiently mentor them on the DevCom aspects. Third is sometimes too, I discover that other employees occupying jobs that are not DevCom in nature are DevCom graduates after all. If this happens, chances are their DevCom skills would still come in handy and would be tapped by their bosses or units. This is an opportunity for them to learn something beyond DevCom, for instance, the subject matter or the context of their work. And so for my final words, to those embarking on their DevCom journey, so maybe I'm talking to the freshmen here, I would advise, first, dream. You are free to dream. Imagine the scenarios you would like to see yourself serving and bearing fruit. Second, discern well if this is the path that you'd like to trek. I used to advise freshman students that DevCom is the communication profession with a mission. If you want to make changes for the better, if you feel for those who do not have enough and want to contribute towards social change, DevCom is for you. It is a profession with a heart. Of course, you can also serve in other professions, in agricultural science or practice, in medical or other science or practice, in saving the environment, and so on and so forth. Or as a DevCommer beside them, and it will be your choice. Discern well. The rest you can learn once you have decided. For instance, I am or was quiet and shy by nature. Then people would say, woo, but I learned to speak before people as a teacher, as a DevCom dean, etc. So things can be learned. And keep on learning. And that's what I like about my profession is I don't want to stop learning. Grow and connect with others. Be part of a community of a common interest or interests or practice. And fifth, last but not the least, enjoy the journey. Give of yourself, your resources. Pay it forward or pay back with gratitude to those who helped in building you up. So thank you very much to DevCom and God bless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Celeste Cadiz, for that story. It's so nice to hear your voice again, and it's nice to see you even virtually. And I know our participants right now are also in awe with what they have learned. And for sure, later they would like to engage with you. So if you guys have questions or anything that you'd like to share, feel free to do that right at the chat box of our Zoom, and also on YouTube, you can do that. So once again, Ma'am Cel, thank you very much. So from dreaming to enjoying what we do, grabe, parang my heart is so full right now, no? And one thing that really yung tumatak sa akin, no, is yung organizing, community organizing, and organizing in so many other sense is really important. Ma'am Cel, thank you so much. All right. we will pause for a break. You can go out. You can go to the restroom or bathroom. But if you choose to stay here with us, here's what we can do. I'd like you to go to menti.com. Maybe you can open a browser or your phone. You can use your phone, and I'm gonna share with you the code. There are just a couple of questions that I'd like to share with you, and maybe you can participate. Right? So where is that? We just want to know. We just want to know here why you chose DevCom. So the code is 1703187. So if you please go to menti.com and enter that code 17031807. So tell us, why did you choose DevCom? I mean, among the list of courses in UPCAT, or maybe you were in another university and you transferred to UPLB. So why? Ay, ang galing. So sinagot niya yung code. Nagkamali ka ng paste, my dear. Okay. All right. So yeah, tell us why you chose DevCom. It will also give us maybe an idea of how you viewed the field, the discipline. Yeah, so this one is going to form a word cloud. Let's see if there are keywords that will be formed, no, based on your responses. So, help me contribute development, people-centered talaga. Wow. You want to help children. All right. So I could see the center of it so far is people. That's right. Yeah, come on. Drop your answers. Baka yung iba talagang nagpunta sa comfort rooms, no? Give me 20. Let's see. At least 20 people out of the 42, maybe 40 participants who are here with us this afternoon. Empower underprivileged, closer to the communities. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry, I wouldn't know who answered which words or which phrases. This is just to show us, no, how we have understood DevCom, or how we understand DevCom before we took our first course. For the freshmen, that's DevCom 10, and maybe for masters who were not com, they took other courses pa, no? Pero yeah, those who are taking 205. Okay, walo pa lang. Baka naman tulog na kayo, ha? Okay. Ayan, dumadami na. Okay. Mahina ba internet? Yes. All right. So far, medyo hindi na form yung cloud kasi mukhang talagang yung phrase nyo, no, mahahaba and all. At kanya-kanya. It's a BS degree but com. So kaya niya pinili. So I don't know. Maybe because you want to, paano ba yan? Dahil iba yung AB sa BS, maybe. Communication with the heart. Yeah, just like what we heard a while ago. Okay. Purposive com, help them marginalize, etc. So, from YouTube, si Mel Olvida. Yeah, sabi ni Mel, I miss listening to Ma'am Tere Velasco and Ma'am Sel Cadiz. So much wisdom, learnings, and experiences shared. So nagpapasalamat po sila sa inyong lahat. Okay. All right. So, sige, let's stop there because there's another question. This is very quick. What field or area of practice? O tanong to ni Ma'am Duday. What field or area of practice do you wish to go into after graduation? So, yung mga freshmen, okay. So, saan nyo ba gustong magpuntang field or area? Or dun sa mga masters natin? Kanina, we were given an idea, di ba, of what we expect our graduates to be. And also, binigyan din tayo ni Ma'am Sel ng mga iba't ibang competencies and roles that we could take on as a DevCom practitioners. So there. Science communication. Politics or public service. Cervic, ha? Oh, hindi. Public service. Kinulang lang ng E. Department of Education. Yeah, you know, they need us now more than ever. Right now, we are working with teachers and different what do you call this? Bureaus and bureaus, yeah, and different units in DepEd for their radio-based instruction. Broadcast media, That's good to know. All right, so science communication, it's getting bigger, diba? With the pandemic, with the new events, definitely napakalaki ng role ng science communication. Human welfare, some would like to go to UNICEF, diplomatic affairs, that's right. Okay. Sige, sana nakabalik na yung iba at makasagot pa sila. Agricultural education. Oh, yes, ag-ed. Kapitbahay natin yan, di ba? Science communication. So malaki yung science communication, no? Talagang isa siya sa field na gusto nating puntahan at gusto natin na mapag-applyan ng ating mga learnings, no? Bilang isang development communication graduate. All right. So we are 41 here inside Zoom, and I think sa YouTube meron din tayong iba pang mga kasama. Okay. Sige. All right. So science communication training and extension, NGOs, that's right. All right. For sure, kapag graduate ninyo, pwede pa yan magbago. But for now, if that is your dream, if that is your dream, so sundan nyo lang yung iba pang mga proseso, discerning, learning, growing, and connecting, and finally enjoying what you love doing. Okay, thank you very much for participating in our short break. We are still here on the ground. Tales of DevCom. Yes, we are resuming. All right, Tales of DevCom Journeys in a Day. We are now ready for our third speaker, and I'm going to introduce her to you. She is the manager and project coordinator of stakeholder advocacy at the International Rice Research Institute. IRI, kapitbahay natin yan, no? Where she has worked since 2011. Prior to joining IRI, our speaker spent more than 13 years working on communication programs for government projects related to animal health, poverty alleviation, research and development, and socio-economic research. She has also worked in Singapore with the Food and Beverage Trade Association, advocating for sound policies that promote public health, food safety, and trade harmonization in the Southeast Asian region. She holds a bachelor's degree in DevCom from UP Los Baños, where she majored in Combrod, mabuhay Combrod, and she was also the co-founding member of UP Ads. Our speaker is a 2019 fellow of the Cornell University Alliance for Science in Ithaca, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Maria Eileen Alcos Garcia.
Ayan. Na-unmute ko na po ba ang sarili ko?
Yep.
Okay, magandang hapon po. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Sir Mark, for that very kind introduction. I feel very honored to be sharing my journey with our students today, especially that I am speaking after esteemed professors from DevCom. So mga professors ko rin po sila nung ako po ay nag-aaral sa DevCom. And so, nagpapasalamat po ako kay Ma'am Duday for inviting me so that I'll be able to share what my journey has been like being a development communication practitioner, development communicator, yon. Ang hahaba ng mga term natin, ano. So, umpisahan ko na po by sharing my screen. Let me take a few seconds. Alam niyo na, medyo hindi pa tayo bihasa dito. Is it showing now? I think it is.
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me tell you about my story as a development communicator. So Sir Mark earlier mentioned that I am with ARI. I am managing the stakeholder engagement and advocacy component of the Healthier Rice project. And if you've heard of Golden Rice, that's in my background. That's what I've been working on since 2011. And so let me tell you about my journey. So medyo kwento-kwentuhan lang to ha, medyo light na lang. Okay, so tita na po ako sa DevCom. Sa time po namin, pag tinanong ka anong batch mo, 2 digits lang po ang sinasabi. So, ako po ay batch 94 kasi ngayon 'di ba 4 digits na, 2000 something na ganyan. And like Mark said, I did community broadcasting, and I am very proud to say also that my electives were in the general agriculture um, side of things. So I did horticulture, I did animal science, yun po, yung mga basic ng agriculture. And those choices for my electives proved very useful for me nung ako po ay nagtatrabaho na. So, ano pa ba? Idadagdag ko. So, what's the story here? So, kwento ko na lang, the timestamp on the picture, and mapapansin nyo na Kodak days pa po ito, ano? So, during my time, ang mga pictures po ay talagang gumagamit pa ng film, and then you have to go to Leo's Photo to have them developed and then scanned para mailagay sa PowerPoint natin ngayon. But just to say that it's been more than 20 years since I graduated, and I've been very fortunate and blessed na right after graduation. So our graduation day was April 25. And just a few weeks after that, May 7, ako po ay minit ng aking would-be supervisor then, Mildred Rojo at the time, at the airport. Dala-dala niya lang po yung aking ticket, and she asked me to help her implement a program called School on the Air program for farmers, for livestock farmers, because during that time, the problem was on foot and mouth disease. So for pigs and other livestock animals. So that was my first job. And this picture is showing, I think this was the launch of one of the School on the Air programs in Masbate. And we were supposed to take Roro from the Dalahican port. And it was supposed to be an overnight trip. So I don't know what happened with the ship. So it was nasira yung ship. Pagising ko kinabukasan, I was expecting that we would have been in Masbate already. But I woke up, we were still in the Lahican port. And my colleagues were telling me that we were already halfway sa dagat. And then the ship had to turn back because there was some problem with the engine. So they had to turn back. And so it had to like impact the launch of the School on the Air program. So meron po akong parang lesson learned doon. Nadala-dala ko na siya hanggang sa nakarating ako dito ngayon. Kasi we were still able to launch the program even if hindi po nakarating yung staff na magla-launch ng School on the Air program. So ang nangyari is because we were fully prepared, we had the episodes recorded in advance, sent by LBC pa yata at that time, sent by LBC para makarating na po in advance dun sa radio station. And so even if wala po kami, natuloy po yung launching ng School on the Air program. So I think this was the second episode already. But anyway, that's the story. So meron po akong, babalikan ko itong picture na ito mamaya for the lessons learned na isi-share ko po sa ating lahat. So, ano pa ba? Okay, so let me talk about what can you do after graduation? Kasi nga, like I said, I was very fortunate to land a job right away after graduation. And so these are the things that I think worth sharing with our students in DevCom today that can help you, like, make that decision if you're going to pursue DevCom, and I hope you will do. Okay, so you look at the skills that you can get from your undergraduate training, and I'm telling you that there are just so many skills na mabibit ninyo, dala-dala po ninyo right after graduation. Our students are having a lot of opportunities to get training. So marami yan, and I'll mention that you like doing. Ano po ba yung pumupukaw ng inyong interest? Is it music? Is it books? Is it movies? Is it the environment? Tapos kanina sa Mentimeter, there are people who sent children and then education or teaching children, mga ganyan. And then the other component is yung passion natin. What are you willing to do and what are you willing not to do? Kumbaga, ano yung mga kaya mong i-sacrifice in the pursuit of your passion. So, kailangan nating pag-isipan kung ano-ano yung mga yan. So, when I talked about skills, I can think of two parang buckets while we are still training in our undergraduate courses. Of course, we talk about the hard skills. Tinuturuan tayo sa writing, paano magsulat ng short stories, ng feature stories, how to write for different audiences. So, if you are going to pursue DevCom in the future, these are the, kumbaga, DevCom 101 things na dala-dala po natin hanggang saan man tayo makarating. Very basic yung writing. And then, of course, speaking, sabi nga ni Ma'am Sel kanina, she was a shy student back then, but in the course of, performing our profession, like kagaya ngayon, ako po, kahit na madaldal ako in real life, when it comes to speaking in front of a lot of people, it still gives me, na-nervous pa rin po ako and I stammer, but it takes practice also. But we really have to embrace the fact that at one point in our DevCom lives, we will be asked to speak. And actually, sa mga naging trabaho ko po, parang naging expectation palagi sa mga communicators na whenever there is a program, kahit Christmas party lang yan, or mga roundtable discussions, or even the more formal programs like yung mga anniversaries or foundation days, mga ganyan. And even sa family gatherings, yung mga reunions natin, parang tayo yung palaging ine-expect na maging MC or host. So yun. And then of course, producing communication materials. So we are equipped with the skills to have the eyes and the ears and the anong tawag dito, yung pag-feel natin ng mga iba-ibang materials, ano dyan yung angkop sa iba-ibang audiences, sa iba-ibang situation, at sa iba-ibang topic that we are working on. And of course, kasama na rin dyan yung analyzing data. So na-mention nga din ni Ma'am Tere kanina na we need to be competent in the subject area as well. So sa katulad ko po na ang subject area na napasuhan ko sa ngayon sa trabaho ko is genetic engineering, biotechnology, and genetics. So, para sa isang DevCom graduate na hindi naman ganun kadami yung naging subjects ko, but I'm really very thankful na in UP kasi, in UP you have your bio, you have all your GE subjects that equip you with the foundational knowledge, So, pag pinasok mo kasi yung trabaho mo sa DevCom, there is this expectation na i-communicate mo na lang yung subject matter. And it's really up to you. It's out of your own parang efforts na mag-initiate ka na kung hindi ka familiar doon sa subject matter, you really have to study it. Kasi you won't be able to talk about it, you won't be able to produce materials about this kung hindi tayo familiar sa subject. And then, I think I really want to emphasize the soft skills as well, being a development communicator. We need to have the eyes and the ears and the heart because communication is also a listening discipline. So especially now, in the new normal, ang listening natin nangyayari sa social media. So we need to be aware what the narratives are, ano ba yung nagte-trending na topics, ano ba yung mga concerns ng ating mga audiences at ng ating mga stakeholders. We need to be able to listen to what they have to say. Kasi sometimes, conventionally, communication is parang we communicate para, sorry, may alarm ako. Ano ba to, tigilin? Okay, I'm sorry. So we communicate to respond, or we communicate to talk, or we communicate to listen, to say something. But half of it really is we want to communicate to be able to listen. And in listening, we would be discerning kung paano tayo magre-respond in a way na magiging satisfactory yung communication. So I guess the listening and the feeling as well, because when we really are talking about development topics, marami dyan talaga ang concern talaga niyan is very people-centered. So when we talk about takot ng mga tao sa COVID, ano ba talaga ang kinatatakutan nila? So syempre yung impact niyan sa livelihood, yung impact niyan sa yung hindi na tayo nakakapagtrabaho, yung impact niya sa health, and of course people are afraid to all of this about all of these things, ano. So yung listening and feeling skills natin, we really need to harness that. So skip ko na lang po ito. So think about what are the things that interests you, and maybe you can start really parang lining up kung ano yung mga gusto nyong i-take na electives. Talagang gusto ko pong pag-isipan yung mabuti yung elective na pipiliin ninyo in undergrad. And then yung passion, medyo bibilisan ko na po ng konti, I'm running out of time. So yung challenges na nakita ko po ay we live in an ever-evolving environment, and we really need to be able to adapt to it. And then sa communication din po, there is this parang culture in the real world that anybody can do communications. Na parang, oh, merong isang tao na, oh, I have the skill of speaking in front of a lot of people. Pero in terms of, speaking from the heart, kulang naman po pala. So, isang challenge yan for us communicators to be able to, influence kung paano ba natin i-embrace yung pagiging developmental ng ating communication. Okay? And then, sometimes in a lot of projects na na-encounter po natin in the real world, nangyayari po, communication is an afterthought. So, for example, may mga nag-iisip ng magandang projects talaga dyan. Pero kung kailan lang po nagkaroon ng problema, then that's the only time that sasabihin nila, oh, we need a press release pala, or oh, we need to have a Twitter channel pala para we can, communicate with our audiences. So parang dapat sa umpisa pa lang, nandiyan na yung mga communicators natin to help shape the program, the entire program, so that communication is embedded in everything. Okay? So, siguro pasadahan ko na lang po ng konti yung stories and how we can be able to overcome these challenges in terms of the ever-evolving environment. We need to be very dynamic communicators. So kung tayo po ay ipinadala sa isang area na walang computer or walang internet, so paano tayo makakapagturo sa mga farmers kung paano nila makikilala, for example, yung isang sakit? Or kung tayo po ay ipinadala sa first world country, kunyari, pina-attend ka ng isang conference, and you have to make a presentation about your program, tapos ang gamit nila dyan is very sophisticated. You also need to be able to, work around these things. And hindi lang po yun in terms of skill sets, but flexibility in terms of the changing environment. In terms of competence naman, nabanggit ko na po yan kanina, like sa IRI po kasi, mayroon silang at the time na pumasok po ako in 2011, parang they require their national staff to undergo this rice production. This is very basic. It's a 3-day rice production course. So that bago ka mag-start magtrabaho, you really know ano bang pinagdadaanan ng rice from seed to table. So kumbaga, it's just a matter of enhancing your competence on the subject matter. And then the last thing is yung relationships. For us communicators, we are never an island. We always need to relate with other people, with scientists, with the public we serve, with local governments from different walks of life. And also, isang importante is we also relate and build relationship with our fellow communicators, be it global or local, so that there is knowledge sharing, sharing ng experiences, we learn from each other, and also that way we parang scale up ba the profile of the profession. Kasi nakikita nila na talagang merong mga professionals in development communication, and they're really parang they're prominent, and they have a high profile kumbaga in the field. So paminsan-minsan magpapakilala din po tayo. And then these are some of the life lessons I learned from kinder to university and to the real world. And isa lamang po sa mga paborito kong author, si Robert Fulghum. Hindi ko na po iisa-isahin because we're running out of time. Pero ang isang gusto ko pong i-pick out dito is yung don't hit people. Sabi ni Robert Fulghum, don't hit people. So basic life lesson po yan, di po ba? But when you talk about communication, parang naging personal, parang preference ko na lamang po yun na whenever I communicate, bottom line is I always want to spark optimism. Like for example, if we talk about COVID-19. So, syempre nakakatakot po yung subject matter per se. Pero at the end of your speech or at the end of your article or at the end of any material you're coming up with, I hope there is room for encouraging people to look towards, a better situation than what we have now. So I really want for us to think about how we could use our communication skills and the resources that we have to spark optimism in life. So kasama na rin po dyan siguro yung aking personal choice then in using mga photos na yung hindi masyadong ano tawag doon, yung mga gory, or if you're talking about diseases, hindi masyadong graphic, but one that would show ano yung state na gusto nating ma-achieve after this situation. So, optimism. And then, siguro, yung taking, always be aware of wonders and taking inspiration from others, like sila din na nandito ngayon, sila Ma'am Tere, sila Ma'am Sel. It's really always a good feeling na bumalik sa DevCom para bahay natin siya. And then to touch base with our mentors, with our professors, and really develop that relationship with people na nakakatulong sa atin at nakakapag-inspire din sa atin. So I think last slide ko na lamang po ito. Why pursue DevCom? So ito na yung parang takeaways ko siguro for you. Gusto ko lang sabihin na kayo po ay nasa DevCom na ngayon and you are being trained under the best bahay. Yun lamang po mga foundation and skills na na-acquire natin sa ngayon. Napakalaking bagay na po yun. When you go out into the real world, pagdating nyo po sa pag mag-apply na kayo ng trabaho, makita lamang na, nag-graduate ito ng DevCom sa UPLB pa. So isang napakalaking na po yun, jump na po yun para sa atin. And it's really up to you kung paano mo po mapagyaman yon, yung foundation na meron tayo. And I would also like to say that DevCom is not just a career, but it is a way of life. At ang lagi ko pong sinasabi is, dahil way of life siya, there is an app for that. And the app really is not your computer thing or your phone thing, but really APP, anticipation. You anticipate all the things that can go wrong and how you can manage it. And the next P is planning. So planuhin natin kung paano natin ma-address yung mga challenges that we are facing. And the last P is practicing. So you keep on practicing so that you can improve. And also part of practicing is really listening to constructive criticism, especially in your work. And last but not the least, of course, DevCom is the best. Pursuing a DevCom career is the best decision that you will ever make in your life, I think. So I think I'm gonna end my talk. Sorry for going over time, but if you're interested, we can connect. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. You can also text me kung gusto niyo pong mag-connect. So I turn you back to Sir Mark. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Miss Ayi. All right. Grabe. Gusto ko yung nabanggit mo, no, yung skills, yung interests, yung passion, at kung gaano to ka-importante sa atin na future DevCom practitioners, yung mga estudyanteng na kasama natin ngayon, and also the listening, no, yung listening, napaka-importante talaga na skill nung pakikinig. Kagaya ng aking anak na nandito ngayon kasama ko. All right. Also,
sabi ni Mami.
I'm listening to him. All right. So, ngayon po, dadako na tayo sa open forum natin, and I know you guys have questions. So ibabalik natin on screen. Kasama natin ang ating tatlong speakers, the three women of DevCom. Yan. At kanina, no, tungkol dun sa DevCom as an afterthought, comment ni Ma'am Pam Custodio, perhaps a way to Yes, we will charge the laptop. Okay. Perhaps a way to overcome this is to teach and understand communication from the constitutive perspective rather than just a practical skill based on techniques. Yeah, that is right. You know, there was an event and syempre kapag naman sinabi, no, pag na ang com or devcom ay taga-package lang ng research or something, naku talaga magre-react tayo dyan, hindi ba? Alright, let's bring back our speakers, Ma'am Tere, Ma'am Sel, and Miss Ayi. At sana po kayo ay mag-participate dito sa ating open forum, magtanong po kayo. Gamitin niyo po yung chat box at kung nasa YouTube naman po kayo, chat box din po. Paalam niyo po sa amin. Can we see them? Yeah. On cam na ba ulit ang ating mga speakers? Ma'am Sel and
Yes,
yes. Hello po. Oo nga eh. Gusto ko sana kayo makita. Teka lang ha.
Ang taba.
Ayan.
Kita mo na?
Yes, ma'am. Alright. Magkakasama na tayo sa screen. Alright, guys, come on. Huwag kayong mahiyang magtanong. O parang kanta lang, di ba? Huwag kayong mahiyang magtanong. This is a rare chance, you know. Una, you have two former deans and also we have one DevCom alumna who has a lot of work. You know, this is the normal. Oo, yeah. That's why it's really fun to be at home, but at the same time, it's a challenge. Yes. Okay. Guys, tanong kayo. O sabi ni Ma'am Elaine Liarena. Sorry. Ma'am Elaine Liarena. Thanks to Ma'am Tere, Ma'am Sel, and Ma'am Ayi. Okay. Oh, baka gusto niyo rin ng interaction with them. Naku, napaka-priceless nitong interaction with them. I can give you the chance to just turn on your mic and your cam and talk to our distinguished speakers. All right. Habang sila ay nag-iisip ng tanong, ako gusto kong malaman kung gaano ka-espesyal yung pagiging babae sa role natin as development communicators. You three are all women and perhaps that gender strand has something to do with how we could be effective, how we could inspire others. I don't know. Please let us know. Who would like to go first?
I would just, sige, ako muna.
Ma'am Sel.
I'm going to say na it's incidental that I am a she, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You said it doesn't matter.
It's just incidental na babae. You know,
Mhm.
I'm a man as well.
How about our two speakers, Ma'am Tere, Miss Ayi? Ma'am, go Miss Ayi.
Oo. Hindi ko nakikita na merong parang advantage yung pagiging babae ko, being a development communicator. But I think nakadagdag lang, baka siguro hindi lang bilang babae, but nakadagdag yung pagiging nanay. Kasi especially in my role now na kailangan mas maging pasensyoso ka sa mga iba-ibang audiences that we're dealing with. And like for Golden Rice, we have to face different levels of opposition, and then we get asked so many tough questions. And I think pag nanay ka kasi parang meron ka ring training na, di ba yung mga anak natin, hindi natatapos yung mga why nila. So parang habang maliit pa yung mga anak natin, we always get asked, but why? And then you answer the question, but why? So parang hindi natatapos. I think parang tiny bit of bonus na lang yon na babae tayo. But I think wala namang problema if you're a man or a woman doing development communication.
For me, when unmute. Hindi.
No,
Naririnig mo ako. For me, when you asked that question, what flashed through my mind were two incidents. Once which made me question may diferensya ba kung babae ako o lalaki ako. So one time we were conducting a training, a nationwide training and the venue was in Pampanga. So to make a long story short, there was a mix-up of accommodations. One regional director from Mindanao came in late and when he checked in, may naka-check in na babae na doktora from DOH. So nagkagulo. Di syempre pinatawag ako yung training director. Pagpasok, galit na galit siya sa akin talaga. Tapos yung baril niya, hawak niya, nakalagay sa mesa. So anong gagawin ko doon? Hindi man lang ako pinaupo, kinakagalitan niya ako. So that was one of the things that really gave me the goosebumps, no? At that time and even now. But I had to stand my ground, explain to him. And after that, saka ako nag-iiyak sa takot. And then there was another time we were doing field work in Dolores, Quezon. So, sumalubong sa amin, we were greeted by a group of armed men. May mga nakasabit na mahahabang armas. And then there was this guy who, maliit na bata, tumakbo siya papasok sa loob ng community. So apparently he was the runner explaining was going to explain to the village chief who we were. But we showed our IDs, we explained our purpose, and we were able to conduct our data gathering. So kung babae ba, kung lalaki ba, wala naman siguro diferensya, no? But you know, as a woman, you also get to face these harrowing experiences and you have to be ready for them. I think maturity played a great role in that also. Yun na.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Tere. Alright, tanong naman ni John Gerald Navera. Ito po yung tanong niya. Ano po ang pros and cons ng pag-graduate ng DevCom with majors versus pag-graduate under the generalist curriculum, especially in seeking jobs and careers in the future? So, alimbawa, si Miss Ayi Combrod. Diba? Si Ma'am Ma'am Jorn ba?
DevJorn ako, kaya lang I cannot say that I specialize in one major only kasi noon.
Correct.
Meron akong broad at meron akong photography and print reference. Well-rounded. Si Aye lang ang makakasagot.
Sige po, I'll try. Ang isa sa mga pros nun, it just so happened na while in undergrad, ako rin po ay naging student assistant sa Radio DZLB. So I was assisting Prof. Vega and Miss Mimi Rojo at that time, also yung programa ni Governor Lina. So yung training ko sa Radio DCLB, and then dahil nga Combrod, meron akong training on doing school on the air programs, yung mga IBS, ganyan. And then nagkataon that Miss Mimi was consulting sa isang national program on animal health, yung foot and mouth disease. And ang programang napili nila at that time was School on the Air. So siguro may kasama ring stroke of luck na timing na kagagraduate ko lang. Here I was, trained on School on the Air program, tapos may isang malaking programa na naghahanap ng staff to implement it. Naging madali for the foot and mouth disease program at that time na yung kanilang nakuhang staff ay very familiar at fresh out of college na naggumawa ng mga School on the Air program kasi hindi na nila kailangan mag-train pa ng staff. Pero ang isang masasabi ko with DevCom kasi para tayong jack of all trades. Kasi nung time po namin na nagme-major pa ang mga estudyante, bago ka naman kasi pumili ng major, you have to go through everything, yung mga foundations ng JORN, ng EDCOM, you have to do yung mga DevCom 20, 50, mga ganyan. So parang yung iba-ibang areas na yon ng DevCom, kailangan mo munang pagdaanan. So at some point, you have familiarity dun sa mga areas na yon bago ka mag-specialize. So that ang DevCom, nakilala tuloy siya out in the field na talaga para tayong jack of all trades. Na kahit anong ipagawa sa atin, kaya pa rin nating i-deliver. Yun nga lang, maganda rin na meron kang parang niche area kung saan ka pwedeng mag-specialize because that would come in handy kapag medyo nasa mid-career ka na. Na syempre pagka medyo mid-level ka na, kailangan meron ka ng areas of specialization. Like for me, medyo napupunta ako doon sa public policy or policy communication and public engagement and yung mga ganon. So parang maganda rin na meron kang tinitingnan na talagang path mo. You are still practicing DevCom pero you have a field of specialization na talagang parang niche mo siya. So yun naman yung beauty ng DevCom na daanan mo muna lahat bago ka mag-specialize sa major mo.
I see. Ma'am Tere.
I remember one of my mentors in college told me that one of the first things you do when you get employed is to unlearn what you learned in college. Sabi niya ganon. Kasi ibinato niya kami sa printing press, nag-all-nighter kami, naggugupit-gupit kami ng mga negatives, wala kaming ganong practice. But at least we had the theory behind us. So what I'm saying is, your curriculum prepares you for all of these things that you will encounter later on in life. Specialization is a good thing because you get to focus on a certain field. But the generalist track gives you a little bit of everything, the foundation, as Miss Ai said. And with now knowledge at your fingertips, it's easy to supplement that. That whatever knowledge you gain from your courses. So, at saka pag nagtatrabaho na kayo, they don't care whether you're a psycho major or an edco major. Ibabato nila kayo talaga kung saan kailangan ang press release, kung saan kailangan ng broadcast material. Basta DevCom ka, di ba? Pues, gawin mo yan. Ganyan. And you should stand up to the challenge. What I can say is that your curriculum is being reviewed thoroughly and you can make changes years. So yung generalist curriculum ninyo has to stay for 5 years and then there has to be continuous monitoring and evaluation and curricular review to really see whether or not this will be continued, modified, or ano. So paalala rin lang sa faculty, kailangan na rin ninyong mag-review ng generalist track.
I think, dumadaan talaga siya sa constant review, and in fact, merong ilang mga bagong courses or lumang courses na we try to nire-resurrect, nire-repackage, parang ganyan. Para lang din ma-address yung mga needs pagdating sa skills ng mga bata. Ma'am, yes?
Hindi, yun na. Okay.
Okay, there. All right.
Nag-agree lang ako sa'yo.
Thank you very much, ma'am. At maraming salamat daw, sabi ni John Gerald, sa inyo pong tatlo. At si Sir Gary, nanonood po sa atin sa YouTube, sabi niya, salamat po sa inyong mga speakers. Ma'am Tere and Ma'am Sel were his former professors at natutuwa po siya na nakatrabaho po kayong dalawa bilang mga DevCom practitioners at marami daw po siyang natutunan sa inyo. Yan po ang sabi ni Sir Gary. All right. Any more questions from our Zoom? Mukhang marami na silang natutunan sa inyo. At Ma'am Sel, yes, please, go ahead.
Doon sa mga sinabi ni Ma'am Tere, kasi the practices are changing, the media are changing, and even society is changing with these disruptions now. And so we have the new normal or the next normal, and so we have to keep on learning and even reinventing ourselves. So I think we just have to keep on being open to that. At the individual level, at your own level as a profession, you can reinvent yourself kasi maaaring itinapon ka sa ibang klaseng konteksto. But at the same time also, as an institution, when we're looking at the curriculum, we should also read the signs. In fact, kasi nandun ako sa KM ang mga binabasa ko ngayon, and connecting with KM people. And with this quarantine period, I looked at the network based in the US. So ano yung mga dapat i-expect? And ang sinasabi lang, yung positive, what is positive is anything digital. So the direction now is going digital because this is how we are conducting ourselves and communicating nowadays. And so it changes also the way we communicate. It's a fertile ground for research as well.
Thank you, Ma'am Sel. Okay, any more questions? Baka naman gusto nyo pang humabol, no? Sabi ko nga sa inyo, minsan lang to mangyari na mapagsama-sama natin sila dito sa ating webinar, sa ating forum. Alright, so sa YouTube ba, wala na ring tanong? Baka may gusto pa kayong ihabol na tanong sa atin. Alright, ma'am, isang concern, not really a concern, but maybe gustong clamor perhaps ng ilang mga estudyante, yung makakuha pa rin daw sila ng mga dating major courses para daw parang elective, like they want that to be offered as elective para mas madagdagan daw yung kanilang skills, yung kanilang competencies, ika nga, na perhaps hindi nila masyadong nakukuha doon sa mga courses that are now under the general curriculum. Sa tingin ninyo, dapat yan pagtuunan ng pansin, tingnan ng college?
Sino? Same order?
Kayo, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. Go ahead, Ma'am Tere.
When we were proposing the changes in the curriculum way back in 2012, 2013, we were very concerned about the total number of units that the student will take because of financial implications also. And we have to stay within CHED, Commission on Higher Education, guidelines as to the number of courses. If it will not affect the total number of units that the student will take, then having electives is good. Kumbaga, hindi mo kailangan dagdagan yung curriculum kasi maraming ang implications yon, ano, from the administrative and the academic point of view. So that has to be considered. Plus, if manpower will allow, do you have the faculty to offer additional courses? There are also university rules as to the number of students who should be taking a particular course, not less than 5 or something like that. Diba, merong mga rule na ganyan. So if it will not be going against those rules, then fine. And of course, what you can do is, ito lang, no, naisip ko lang bigla, is offer it through this modality, yung online. Meron kang mga, anong tawag ninyo doon sa courses na mabilis online? Ano nga yung tawag nyo doon? O basta yun na nga, you can offer it online.
Is that MOOCs?
Oh, yun, MOOCs. Yun.
Massive open online.
Oh, massive open online.
Noon, talaga sinasabi naman ni Ma'am Cabral. Sinasabi naman ni Ma'am Cabral noon. There's nothing stopping anyone to take additional courses or additional units. Probably the question nga lang is, are those courses available? So they're not available anymore?
Wala ata ngayon. Hindi lahat, no? I think what you're doing now is trying to incorporate some of the topics, the very important topics, into existing courses. Tama ba ako?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
yes, ma'am.
Like KM? Or will there be a full course on KM? That was one
I think there is a full course. Yeah.
Already.
Okay po. Merong pahabol pang mga tanong, no. They sent me via PM, so maybe they do not want to be mentioned, pero hello. Okay, there.
Chico,
ang tanong po nila,
okay.
Ano po ang vision ninyo, yung dalawang former deans, for DevCom in the next 25 or 50 years? Karugtong po nito, no?
Or is it yours?
Napuputol ba, ma'am?
Napuputol. Sa ikaw.
Okay. Alright. Ulitin ko po, ma'am, yung tanong nila. Yung vision po ng ating former deans for the next 25 or 50 years para sa DevCom, They understand the need to redefine DevCom in 2012 that was prompted by the current social milieu. So you think, would there be a need to redefine DevCom post-COVID?
Biglang nag-anuhan kami ni Ma'am Sel. Ma'am Sel, mas nauna ka maging dean, mauna ka.
Biglang hindi ko na alam ngayon eh. Pero nung time ko, iniisip ko naman yon nung time ko, yung one communication college in the university. Pwede naman siguro eh. Pero I am very strong about hindi pwedeng masubsume
Ay, gumitin uli.
Ulit, nawawala ako?
Oo.
Nawawala ako.
Diretso. So, you were saying that
Okay po
you
yung
had...
okay lang, Ma'am Sel. Go lang po.
Okay, but DevCom cannot, kasi DevCom is the contribution of UPLB to the world and we're recognized for that. Yun ang mahirap na settle lang kasi we're not open to being subsumed under College of Communication. But sa akin, kung ako, i-welcome ko naman
Ako ba?
curriculum sa campus to be with us. Wag lang mapailalim yung DevCo. Yun.
Ma'am Tere.
I have also strong feelings about having one College of Communication, which will be named College of Development Communication, because we don't want the discipline of development communication to disappear from the roadmap of UPLB. But that is a very highly political matter. Again, one of my dreams, and I know that I'm no supporter in this, no, but I see development communication as being professionalized. That there will really be a practitioner called development communicator, because as of now, let's face it, yung Manila colleges, puro communication sila, mass communication. What they know is mass communication, not development communication. But maybe we can professionalize it more. Kaya ako talaga gusto ko may board exam.
Miss Ai, you want to share your thoughts po? Kasama pa ba natin si Miss Ai?
Yeah, parang nakamute.
Oh, there you go.
In terms of professionalizing development communication, kasi nagkaroon ako ng experience really in the workplace na parang may culture na communication lang naman yan, anybody can do it. Like, merong ilang offices na parang...
Ako ba ang bumibitin?
So far, ma'am, narinig namin ng tuloy-tuloy. Opo. Si Miss Ai. Yes, Miss Ai, please.
So parang sasabihin nila, for example, in some government agencies na lang, nung nagkaroon ng time na nag-rationalize ang government, dati kasi nung nag-apply ako ng trabaho sa iba-ibang government agencies, meron talagang item na information officer, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tapos nagkaroon ng time na parang nagra-rationalize sila. Ang naging parang title na nung position is parang admin specialist. Tapos parang parang parenthesis na lang that you're working on communication or information. So parang at that time I felt na parang hindi siya fair para sa professional communicators kasi parang hindi na nabibigyan ng tamang recognition, and syempre may kasama kasi yun na syempre support for the budget, yung personnel mo doon, sweldo mo doon. Parang hindi ka makakaangat din dun sa iyong career path kasi nasa admin yung yung bucket nung titulo mo, parang ganyan. So siguro sabi nga ni Ma'am Tere, very political yung may mga political conversations around gusto ba natin na magkaroon ng parang lisensya na PRC yung ating profession. Pero pag po kasi isa pang kwento is yung maririnig mo na lang yung mga minsan may mga broadcaster na sometimes nagiging irresponsible na rin yung nila, pagbo-broadcast nila. Parang isipin mo, aside from pwede silang mademanda for libel and all of those things, parang what would really parang hold professionals to stay on track as being responsible public communicators kung parang wala ka ring pinahahalagahan na yung ganong pinag-iingatan na mawawalan ka ng lisensya if you go beyond yung mga ethical practices mo, mga ganyan. So siguro maganda rin maganda rin yung ganong direction. Pero other than that, siguro lang, ang masasabi ko lang sa panahon ngayon, especially with yung mga nangyayari sa pandemic and everything, mas umaangat ngayon yung realization at pangangailangan for science communicators. And I think talagang ang DevCom, napakalaki po ng ating contribution sa area ng science communication. Kasi you will find DevCom graduates in UNICEF, in WHO, in FAO. Nakakalat po tayo sa mga iba-ibang organizations around the world and even locally. So maganda na po yung foundation natin. And I think siguro sana mas marami pang maging DevCom at mag-SciCom para mas lumawak pa po yung reach natin. So I'm speaking directly
Oo nga.
Participants natin ngayon na pagpatuloy niyo po ito kasi kailangan pa po tayo.
Tapusin daw ninyo. All right. Okay. Siguro final question, no? I'm not sure if you touched on this, but yeah, this is regarding the need to redefine. Is there a need to redefine DevCom post-COVID? Perhaps the context is that we engage with communities, and for sure with what's happening now, that would change. And if we talk about like what they said kanina sa ating mentee, the marginalized, the underprivileged, etc., the gap in technology is still very huge. How should we define DevCom post-COVID-19? Ma'am Sel? Hello? Or, yes, Ma'am Sel, naka-mute. There you go, Ma'am Sel.
It's just the tools that are changing, but the engagement, the concept is the same. So I don't think we really need to DevCom is DevCom. This is what DevCom. You might be practicing a different kind of com, but my roots are still DevCom. When I say KM, I'm really actually drawing from DevCom. It's really DevCom. Pinangalan ko lang na KM, pero DevCom practice pa rin. Sometimes also nga, nag-iiba lang yung context, yung tools, but the process is the same. And yung sinasabi nga, in-emphasize ni Ma'am Tere, na sinabi ni Ma'am Quebral, development takes precedence. Doon tayo naka-angkla. That's where we're anchored on. The development issues and how to address them. And that is part of what we're studying.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ma'am Sel. Ma'am Tere, you have an answer to that?
Ayan, can you hear me?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm 100% supportive of what Ma'am Sel said. The philosophy remains the same, the philosophy of the discipline, the reason for existence. However, we have to constantly be on our toes regarding modality. Mm-hmm. So that's where we have to really pour our resources into, time and resources into the modality.
Miss Ayi, you want to add to that po?
Siguro po ang i-add ko na lang is yung kahit saan ako nakarating and marami po akong parang pinagdaanan na iba-ibang opisina na pinractice ko ang DevCom, pero yung isang kabukod-tangi talaga na palaging, ano bang tawag natin dito? Mantra na ba natin to, ma'am? Yung know your audience. So, talagang kahit saan po ako makarating, ito po yung napaka-basic. And I guess in the context of the pandemic that we are experiencing right now. Kasi po, yung mga talks about, ay pasaway kasi yung mga tao, that's why hindi sila nagmamask. Ay kasi gala pa rin ng gala. Pero in reality kasi, is yung pangangailangan ng tao to live. Kailangan nila maghanap
Yes.
buhay kaya sila lumalabas. Pero parang nagkakaroon lang ng parang miscommunication na ang nakikita natin yung nasa ibabaw. Pero alam ba talaga natin yung audience natin? Kilala ba talaga natin sila? Why they are doing these things? And bakit hindi natin sila mapa-enjoin doon sa mga ikinakampanya natin na very basic health and safety practices? Kasi siguro hindi pa talaga natatouch on nung mga nagko-communicate sa ngayon, yung pinaka-basic, which is kilalanin natin sila at let us reach them where they are. So kung gamit tayo ng gamit, for example, ng Facebook, pero yung atin naman palang mga kinakausap ay nasa laylayan ng lipunan, walang access to these things. So balik ulit tayo dun sa basic na alamin natin yung audience natin, ano ba yung nagpapatakbo sa kanila, paano natin sila maaabot, at ano yung klase ng lengguwahe na dapat nating gamitin so that mas ma-encourage natin sila na mag-participate at ma-involve dito sa ating mga ikinakamping. So I guess yun po, always back to the basic of really knowing our audience.
All right. Thank you very much. There's one pahabol lang. This is the very, very last from John. No? Ang tanong niya ay, what sets us apart, UPLB DevCom graduates, from the DevCom graduates from other universities, colleges around the Philippines and around the world? Is there a characteristic daw na uniquely UPLB DevCom? Or meron bang dapat yun ang UPLB DevCom brand? Sino po ang gustong sumagot? Just go ahead.
may kwento lang ako na I met some parang sila, mga faculty members sila ng DevCom sa Isabela. Tapos nung syempre kwentuhan, pakilanlanan, saan ka nag-graduate, ganyan. So, sa UPLB DevCom ako nag-graduate. At ang ilang beses ko rin narinig, kapag meron ako mga ganitong encounter sa mga kapwa DevCom na galing sa ibang universities naman, ay, kayo yung mother of all DevCom. Naririnig nyo rin ba yun, ma'am? Meron silang ganon na sa UPLB kasi nag-umpisa yung DevCom. So, parang ganun pa lang naman yung Pero what really sets apart, I think kasi yung atin namang mga foundation, yung ating mga concepts, at yung mga ina-espouse natin na values being a development communicator, I think pare-pareho naman. Siguro may konting may konting yabang na lang kasi may UP doon sa unahan, di ba? Pero other than that, I think really is yung common natin, which is yung passion natin to contribute to development. I think wala namang talaga pinagkaiba.
Ma'am Tere.
As I said earlier, the College of Development Communication is the lone Center of Excellence, CHED Center of Excellence in Development Communication. And as such, we have the bragging rights and the responsibility to be on our toes regarding curriculum and the practice of development communication. So there's a huge task on our shoulders that should set us apart. Tayo talaga yung trailblazers. Ang sinasabi sa atin ng mga anak natin, in fact, ang tawag nga nila sa sarili nila, sabi nga ni Ai, mother ng DevCom, they look up to us to do changes in the curriculum. But of course, we also learn from them, like the VSU, Visayas State University, has already implemented, I think, a lot of changes in their DevCom program from which we can also benefit. So as the trailblazers, we have to look into all of these things. So hindi lang yung sarili natin yung tinitingnan natin, pero in tandem with all of the other schools offering development communication. Tayo lang yung talagang, we should take the lead because we are CHED's Center of Excellence in Development Communication.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am Sel.
Kapatid natin lahat sila kasi they're all past former students of College of DevCom. So, pare-pareho yung mindsets natin. I won't say, because katulad nga, nung sinabi ni Ma'am Tere, BSU, sometimes they have rich experiences, even richer experiences because of their very closer engagement with researchers in agriculture, or mas ano sila, mas ini-involve sila sa research ng mga technical scientists nila. And so they're more, and they have a lot of chance to go on the ground as well. I don't think malaki yung pinagkakaiba. In fact, may affinity nga tayo eh. Yung taga Isabela one time, tinanong ako, Ma'am, bakit ba tayo ganito sa DevCom? We are overworked and we just absorb so much work kasi nga super dedicated. And in short, super dedicated din siya. So, pare-pareho lang tayo.
Alright, thank you very much. Ma'am, huling tanong na talaga to. Pag daw ba former dean, kailangan ang pader ay cream or puti? Hindi, joke lang.
Pareho kami ni Sel.
Alright.
Hapon eh.
Maraming salamat po, Miss Ayi, Dr. Sel Cadiz, and Dr. Tere Velasco for joining us this afternoon. For sure, ang dami-dami nilang natutunan. Ang swerte nitong mga kasama natin inside Zoom at yung mga nanonood sa YouTube. Pero to formally thank you po at para sa iba pang mga announcements, tatawagin ko na agad si Dr. Rodora Ramonet de Villa Custodio. Siya po ang instructor ng DevCom 10 at DevCom 205 at siya rin pong may pakana ng ating event ngayong hapon. Ma'am Duday.
Okay po, hello po, good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. I would like to thank you all for joining us in this webinar, in this afternoon's webinar, the CDC students and CDC staff. Of course, we would like to thank especially our resource speakers for this afternoon, Dr. Tere Velasco, Dr. Sel Cadiz, and Ms. Ayi Alcos Garcia. So we have a certificate for you. Let me share my screen. The University of the Philippines Los Baños College of DevCom awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Maria Teresa H. Velasco for sharing her time, expertise, and experiences as a development communication practitioner in on-the-ground Tales of DevCom Journeys in a Day on 20 August 2020 via Zoom, given this 20th day of August 2020 by the College of Development Communication, University of the Philippines Los Baños, signed yours truly, and our Dean, Maria Stella C. Tirol. Of course, we also have certificates for Ma'am Sel Cadiz.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you po. And Miss Ayi Garcia. So same citation po.
Salamat po.
Thank you
It's my
po.
honor.
Thank you.
Thank you po. We would also like to thank Assistant Professor Mark Lester Chico for serving as the moderator of this webinar. Maraming salamat, Chico. Ms. Char Arcaina for assisting in the technical aspects of the webinar. Mr. Zeus Hunsay for his assistance in the production of the event poster and other webinar paraphernalia. And of course, our Dean, Thea Tirol, for her for gracing this event and for her support in all our activities. So I hope that through this webinar, you have been enlightened, especially for the students, and why you're here. Moreover, I hope that you have been inspired and motivated to pursue the DevCom program and eventually make a dent in the lives of others through development communication. As Ms. Ayi said, let's be reminded to always have our eyes, ears, and hearts with and for the people. So maraming salamat po. The evaluation form will be sent to you via email. And then after accomplishing the form, you will receive your certificate of attendance. But before we formally close the program, let's have our picture taking care of Char. So don't leave Zoom yet. Magpipicture po si Char para sa atin.
Mag-on po ba kayo ng videos?
Please turn on your cam. Ma'am Sel, ganyan ba dapat?
On video po.
Alright, please turn on your cam, guys.
So, meron po tayong dalawang frames dito. So, bibilang po ako. Mag-smile na lang po kayo, both frames.
Ma'am Tere, kulang ng ilaw si Ma'am Tere.
Okay.
Ma'am, kulang ng konting ilaw.
Okay, ready na po. Okay.
Light lang.
Ayan, magla-light lang po si Ma'am Tere. Ayos-ayos po muna tayo ng ating mga bangs.
Oo
Ng
nga.
ating
Mag-lipstick na.
lipstick na po.
Talagang ang buhok ni Chico ay
Nag-expire na po yung mga lipstick, ma'am.
Hey, nice to see
Hi,
you.
ma'am Thea. Nice to see you po.
Okay po.
Ayan, guys. Okay, on cam na sila.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Another one po. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Okay na po. Thank
Okay
you.
po. Maraming salamat po for attending. Yes, Ma'am Taze.
All right, marami pong salamat.